The former Crown Prince of Jordan says he's been put under house arrest as part of a crackdown on government critics. In a video passed to the BBC, Prince Hamza denies any wrongdoing.
I am not the person responsible for the breakdown in governance, for the corruption, and for the incompetence that has been prevalent in our governing structure for the last 15 to 20 years.
Street protests in Germany against strict COVID measures as the country's president appeals for national unity. 10 ethnic rebel groups in Myanmar throw their support behind the people protesting against the military power grab. And a procession of the dead, the mummies of 22 ancient Egyptian rulers transported to a new resting place in Cairo. Prime Minister Boyko Borisov and his centre-right party are hoping to secure a fourth term in office when people vote today in elections in Bulgaria. The poll's going ahead despite the pandemic, in which 10,000 people have been hospitalised and with one of the highest mortality rates in Europe. People in Lebanon are experiencing up to 22 hours a day of power cuts this weekend after two of the country's plants ran out of fuel. Lebanon's going through an economic crisis, political instability, the pandemic, as well as the struggle to rebuild after last year's explosion in the port of Beirut. The governor of the US state of Georgia, Brian Kemp, has said he will not back down after an all-star baseball game was moved out of Atlanta in protest over Georgia's new voting restrictions. The 2021 all-star game was moved from the Atlanta Braves' home stadium after the state strengthened identification requirements for absentee ballots, shortened early voting periods for runoffs, and made it a crime to offer food and water to voters waiting in line. The Republican governor had this to say about the All-Stars decision.
I want to be clear. I will not be backing down from this fight, and neither are the people who are here with me today. We will not be intimidated, and we will also not be silenced. Major League Baseball, Coca-Cola, and Delta may be scared of Stacey Abrams, Joe Biden, and the left, but I am not, and we are not as well.
Workers are reinstalling razor wire fencing and concrete barriers around parts of the Capitol building precinct in Washington, D.C. after Friday's attack in which a car ran over two police officers, killing one, injuring the other. William Evans was killed when a car crashed into a security barrier before the driver approached officers with a knife. Police then shot and killed the suspect. Authorities say the attack didn't appear to be terrorism-related. President Biden has expressed his sorrow, and the flag at the White House has been lowered to half-mast in the second attack on the US Capitol in 3 months. Well, let's stay in the United States. Officials in the state of Florida fear that as much as 600 million gallons of toxic wastewater could suddenly flood into the Tampa Bay area. There's been a partial breach of the retention pond holding the water at bay. They've called for the area to be evacuated. Now, used to walking alongside thousands of others, residents in one southern Mexican city continued an Easter tradition despite the pandemic, carrying a giant cross on their shoulders as they walked up and down local streets this year to no crowds. Mexico has recently published figures indicating that the number of deaths caused by coronavirus is in fact 60% higher than previously reported.